If you're listening to this, it's probably because something's already shifted for you. And I don't mean in some big dramatic way. I mean quietly. Like something's shifted underneath you and you notice it before you understand it. Now, this isn't about fixing yourself. That's really not what this is. It's more like trying to understand what actually happens after the thing you thought was you starts loosening. Because, let's face it, that part doesn't get talked about properly. People talk about awakening like it's a moment, like a switch flips and suddenly everything makes sense. But that's not how it goes. What actually happens is you start moving through something. Not neatly, not in order. More like a series of recognitions. Now, I call them the 12 codes. Not because you have to complete them, but because recognizing them stops you fighting the process. It usually begins with this. Realization that the life that you were living wasn't the full picture. And that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels quite unsettling. Because the version of you that kept everything going, it's like the one that coped, adapted, and stayed strong, now starts to crack. Most people panic here, but nothing's gone wrong. It's just what's happening when you start seeing clearly. Recognition doesn't give you answers. It just changes the questions. And once that happens, you don't really go back. But after that, you start noticing things you didn't before. Like where your attention goes, what your mind keeps looping on, and what drains you. Now, this is not to judge, it's just noticing. This is usually the first time you realize that attention actually does something. It's not neutral, it's where you keep placing yourself mentally and emotionally that shapes your experience more than you thought. Now, this is where people think they're failing, because instead of things getting lighter, old stuff starts coming back. Emotions, patterns, habits you thought you were past. But this isn't regression. Awareness doesn't remove pain. It tends to bring it into focus. You can't integrate with what you can't see. So contrast isn't punishment, it's information. And that information leads you straight into the parts of yourself you avoided. Not because they're bad, but because they were built for protection. And here's what most people miss. When you stop fighting those parts, they don't get louder, they soften. Now, nothing needs fixing here, it's just honesty. Because once something is seen clearly, it stops quietly running your life in the background. Now, as that happens, something else loosens. You realize you were never just one version of yourself. You've been the strong one, the guarded one, the one who holds it all together. Now, those roles mattered. They kept you going, but they don't have to define you forever. You're allowed to change without betraying who you were. This is usually when the body gets involved. Emotions stop feeling like enemies and start making sense as signals. And when you let yourself feel without drowning in it, something completes. Your system settles. Now, don't get me wrong here. This isn't about being emotional. It's about letting experience move through you instead of staying trapped inside you. Now, at some point, life quietens. Not perfectly, just more steady. You see yourself reacting less. You pause more, and you stop needing constant answers. This isn't numbness, it's regulation. It's what happens when your system finally feels safe enough to rest. And then there's this moment where you stop forcing things. You stop trying to become someone better and start letting go of who you had to be. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means ending the fight with reality. Some things only heal when you stop gripping onto them. From there on, you start living more in the here. Not replaying the past, not bracing for the future, just here. Choices get simpler and intuition gets quieter, but also clearer. And this moves your presence into clarity, not control. Now, old things will still come back. Thoughts, patterns, feelings. That doesn't mean that you've gone backwards. Healing doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in spirals. You meet the same material just with more awareness each time. Eventually something stabilizes. You notice you can watch your thoughts without becoming them. Feel emotions without losing yourself. And life still happens, but it doesn't own you anymore. Now, this isn't detachment, it's authorship. And from that place, awareness turns outward naturally. Not to save anyone and not to fix anyone, just to show up cleanly. You realize your presence carries weight, and weight comes with responsibility. Service here isn't sacrifice. It's not using insight to dominate, control, or elevate yourself above others. It's how power stays clean. So everything you've just moved through leads you to one quiet responsibility. A certain point, awareness becomes influence. Your words land, and your presence affects people. And a knowing appears. Now, it's not a rule. It's not a warning. Just a knowing. You don't use awareness to harm. You don't use insight to control. And you don't use clarity to place yourself above others. This is not because you're trying to be good, but because the moment power is used in that way, clarity leaves. Now, it doesn't happen as punishment, but as feedback. And if you feel that responsibility rising in you, that doesn't mean you're restricted. It means you're ready. Ready to move through the world without needing to dominate it. And if you've stayed with this to the end, then you already know this was never about becoming something new. It was about remembering how to stand inside yourself without turning away.